In today's episode, I welcome you to Stargard. Now, this is a very old, in fact, over 1,000 years old city in the Western Pomeranian voivodeship. It is absolutely stunning and full of Gothic and Neo-Gothic architecture. And you will find some incredibly preserved fortifications and buildings. It really is a place I would recommend popping out for a day. Dzień dobry. Welcome to A Brit in Poland. This channel has a number of missions. The main one, to create a video for every place on this list. Though I could use your help. The help could be in a number of forms. You could like my video, you could subscribe to my channel, you could follow me on Facebook or Instagram, or you could donate to my Patronite account. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoy the video. So I travelled here from Szczecin. It was, I don't know, about 45 minutes or so on the train, so not too far at all. And I had a fair walk. This is a very, very basic approximation of the walking route that I took, though I did a lot more crisscrossing. When you first get to the station, already you get a hint of what you'll find. And the city itself, I think, is about 75,000 people in terms of population. And here I was just walking through, the streets, and I'm like, okay, need to find something a bit more interesting. And eventually, well, I don't know, after about 15 minutes, I started to see what there was. So we had, St. Peter and Paul's Orthodox Church, and out the front of that is a statue of, John Paul II. And yeah, as you can see, nice Gothic church to start the day. And right next to this was this old pressure tower, which, again, is kind of neo-Gothic. And really quite outstanding, I have to say. Across the road from that was the Holy Ghost Church, which was built between 1874 and 1877. And now we're going to enter the old town via the Pirates Gate. These names are translated into English, by the way, in case any Polish people are confused by some misnaming. But again, you have this wonderful, wonderful gate that takes you into the old town, which is this big circular kind of area. And to either side of this, you have the Red Sea turret and the Weavers or the Ice turret. So you can already get a strong sense that this is a very fortified city. You have the Rotunda, and this is basically like a kind of a munitions place, so they would fire artillery and things from here. And you have the walls, and it's amazing. I've in all of the places of Poland I've been to, I've not seen the walls preserved like this. Here you have the town square. Pretty much every decent city in Poland has some form of town square, and this one was quite nice. You have the very kind of wonderful looking town hall at the beginning of that. And this is just showing you the town hall from another angle. Again, fantastic. You have the St. Mary's Queen of the World Collegiate Church, which is actually said to be the most beautiful Gothic brick church in Poland, and the inspiration for tens of buildings in at least 3 countries. It started construction in 1292. But the present form is from the 14th to 15th centuries. And you have chapels, it was basically a Hanseatic town cathedral. It's a bit under construction, as you can see inside, but still stunning. And it really does kind of stand out on the landscape as part of the Presbytery complex, which is kind of a range of buildings that form this. And this is small, again, a building connected with the church. We're going to go to the museum very quickly, just to give you an idea of what you could see there. To give you a little bit more of the history, Stargard it first became a town in 1243, and the original town walls were made in 1295 when it was made the Prince Castellanese, and it was a big grain exporter in the 14th century. 1380, the St Mary's Church was rebuilt. 1409, it becomes a republic town. And 15th century is when you get most of the construction, as it was joined the Hanseatic League, and it had a lot of money, a lot of trade. It had a fire in 1584, which was quite devastating, and a great epidemic of the bubonic plague from 1625 to 1626. And the Swedes came in 1630 during the 30 Years' War and caused a lot of damage, of course. In 1635, pretty much the whole town was destroyed in a fire. And only like St. John's Church and about 18 houses were left. It was made the capital of Brandenburgian in 1668. Had its first mail coach put into service in 723. The first theatre in 1772. And it was made the seat of the local district authority in 1825, with a railway coming in 1846. And during the war, it was pretty beat up, unfortunately. So a lot of the buildings were again destroyed, with about 70% of the old town. And here you have the arsenal, so where weapons were stored. Lovely section of wall there. And lots more walls, turrets. Captives turret. That's the thing, you have everywhere around the ring of this. You find these wonderful structures. So it's quite awe-inspiring to just wander around and take it in, really, and see this great red brick 15th century architecture. And ringing the city, you have these parks as well. And one of the reasons for the location of the city, the fortifications, is because it's kind of along the Ina River. So this provided a bit of added defense during the many, many conquests and wars that Poland has faced. So yes, you have this nice little kind of scenery. You have the wall gate, which is pretty much the kind of center of the main fortifications, I would say. And again, it just stands out as impressive. And now, of course, space for advertising. And you have more walls and another turret, the White Head turret. And this one contained a prison dungeon, which is pretty cool. Well, maybe not for the prisoners. And what can I say? Everywhere you go, just more and more remarkable things. I've never seen anything like this in Poland. The mill or harbour gate, again, lovely, beautiful place to see. You have to do a fair bit of walking to get around this place. You have an old granary, which I think is a little bit beat up but it's from the sort of 16th to 18th century, but it was rebuilt in 1945 after the war, of course. But again, it's a very unique building, you have to say, just standing out. St. John's Church, so this is very old. It's, I guess, one of the original buildings that you will find here, and it actually dates back to the 13th century. And yeah, I mean, it's one of these places that, again, I couldn't get in fully, but I'll show you what I can. A random Gothic tunnel, which was pretty cool, I have to say. I was quite, yeah, I just love finding these little things dotted around, and the tourist office gave a very useful map. Oh, and this is where I went for lunch. And trust me, when you're in these places, always try and find the Brovars, because they tend to have their own locally brewed beer. And this place had a lot of character, you know, like very modern in contrast to the sights of the old town. Friendly service, really nice food. So I was quite comfortable here. Though I have to admit, like, I felt the time ticking down. It's like, oh God, I got to get back for my train, but I still have a few things to see. Just outside, there's this random griffin, which is pretty cool. So now we're going to head outside of the city, and we're going to go to this old cross eventually. And it's a stone cross, Penitentiary cross, which is basically, it was built because, yeah, somebody was murdered, and it was kind of built as an act of penitence. And it is actually the largest cross of its kind, I think, anywhere. So it has a certain claim to fame. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this this little tour around Stargard. It's not the biggest place in the world, but it's a very, very iconic place, I would say. I think I spent about 4 hours here, but I was constantly walking at a fast pace. So if you really want to experience it, I would give at least a day to kind of soak things up. I also went into the local shopping mall, but mainly because I was curious to see what I would find. And I was actually pleasantly surprised, because there was this element of the old wall here, which, again, just another little snapshot of the history. But more videos to come. As I say, I hope you enjoyed this little trip. Please like, please subscribe, and do zobaczenia.